Elena gave her male secretary a watch worth millions. The male secretary posted online to brag. Only those who work hard will be rewarded. A determined heart will never be in vain. I'll keep pushing forward, my queen. The assistant forwarded this post to me. I then forwarded it to Elena Lin. 1 million is small change. How much do you think is a big sum? CEO Lin. She replied. Over 10 million. I replied. Transfer me 20 million within a minute. With a note, voluntary gift. Elena sent me a message. Stop it, hubby. A minute later, she received a video. In the video, I smashed the antique vase that her first love had given her. Exactly 20 million. Chapter 1. Elena's phone rang immediately. Do you know how expensive that vase was? What do you really want? Elena. Was my message not clear enough? I glanced at the watch on my wrist. You have 34 seconds left. I'm standing in front of the antique painting in your bedroom. You know what the consequences will be. The call was immediately hung up. 20 seconds later, 20 million was transferred to my bank account. I sent her a photo. In the photo was the antique painting she loved, now torn into a pile of pieces. The vase was a warning. The painting is the punishment. Elena, you're already married. This time, Elena didn't call back. Not even a message. I knew she must be furious, but I didn't care. Marriage among the rich always comes with interests. If there's love, it's the luck of both parties. But if there's not, that's also normal. The relationship between Elena and me had mixed feelings. We didn't dislike each other when we first met, but we couldn't say we liked each other either. This set the tone for our marriage. There was no emotional foundation between us at the start. After a grand wedding, we slept in separate rooms on our wedding night, even saying goodnight to each other before bed. It wasn't until almost half a year after the marriage that we finally came together. And even then, our faces were hidden by alcohol. The Lin family is an old aristocratic family, highly cultured, and follows many rules. This is why Elena Lin developed such an aloof yet warm personality. My family, on the other hand, came from humble beginnings. My father made his fortune with his fists, bricks, and machetes. With no rules like the Lin families, we took a direct, bold approach. So, I don't believe in love at first sight. Elena and I clearly belong to the love grows over time category. I love Elena, and she loves me, but we're both very rational. We won't put our love for each other at the top, but we won't neglect it either. This time, the pretty boy obviously touched a nerve. His shameless bragging caught my attention. I don't allow anyone to covet what's mine, not even a glance. But I also know that the more you suppress something, the more it will thrive. Just like Elena. That night, Elena sent me a message. I have a social event tonight. Won't be home for dinner. I didn't reply, focusing on my own work. At 8 o'clock that evening, my friend Sean sent me a photo. The background looked like a dinner gathering. Elena was sitting next to a pretty boy. The pretty boy was clearly well dressed. His hair was shiny, like it had been licked by a cow's tongue, and he had that sunny, handsome look that Elena loved in short videos. What's going on? Why did your wife bring such a pretty boy to the dinner? Is your backyard on fire? At the same time, the assistant sent me a message. The male secretary posted again. Attended a high-end dinner. Feeling like I'm getting closer to the ideal life. Thanks to the great mentor by my side. The photo attached was a selfie of the pretty boy, smiling calmly, his eyes shining with a determined look. Chapter 2. The watch on his wrist, worth millions, was incredibly eye-catching. Elena, who was more than happy to play the role of background support, glanced at his selfie with a barely noticeable smile on her lips, but her eyes betrayed her true feelings with a look of affection. I remembered the female secretary from before, who was fired on the spot by Elena just for replying to a work message during a business dinner. But now, not only did Elena tolerate this pretty boy's selfie, she even allowed herself to be in the picture, using her CEO status to boost his worth. She knew full well that my friends were at that dinner. The reason she felt so fearless was because, during the day, I had smashed her antique vase with that $1 million watch and ripped up the expensive painting she had bought. She knew I would eventually find out that she brought another man to the dinner. She also knew that I would see the pretty boy's post, but she still went ahead and did it, indulging his overstep, all for the sake of revenge. Unfortunately, when it comes to revenge, Elena and her entire family would barely be a match for even a single finger of mine. I sent Elena a message. Aren't you going to explain about the guy sitting next to you? 5 minutes passed, and Elena didn't reply. I sent Sean a message. Did my wife check her phone? Sean replied instantly. She looked at her phone but didn't respond. Did you confront her? I sent Elena another message. Reply. I know you saw my message. This message, too, disappeared into silence. No response from Elena. I'm giving you one last chance. If I don't see your reply in 10 seconds, the consequences will be on you. 10 seconds later, I sent her a photo. Elena replied immediately. Alexia, what do you want? At the same time, I received a message from Sean. Shit, what did you send your wife? Her face went completely pale. I've never seen her face that pale before. She looked like a ghost. I sent Sean a smirking emoji. You're about to see a good show. The photo I sent to Elena was an old, yellowed pink envelope. Obviously something she had kept for many years. It was a love letter from Elena's first love when they were in high school. That boy had pushed her out of the way to save her, only to be hit and killed by a speeding construction truck. This letter was the last thing that boy left behind for her, and she treasured it more than her own life. I suddenly realized that this new secretary vaguely resembled her first love. It seemed that CEO Lin had taken up a little bit of substitute literature, treating this new secretary as a stand-in for her first love. Seeing that I hadn't replied, Elena sent another message. Don't touch it. Her message came with a sense of urgency and fear, the lack of punctuation showing just how nervous she was about that love letter. Elena, call me. This time, she obeyed, and the call came through immediately. Her voice was low. Stop it. Hubby, can we talk when I get home? Put it on speaker. What do you want? I said put it on speaker. Reluctantly, she complied. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I heard that CEO Lin brought a new colleague to the dinner today, so I wanted to call and confirm. Elena's voice was filled with tension. Hubby, it's not what you think. We're just a regular boss-employee relationship. Please don't misunderstand. Really? What kind of CEO gives $1 million watch to their secretary? Elena, I don't care what kind of relationship you two have, but I want you to take the dish in front of you and throw it in his face right now. You can refuse, but the consequences will be on you. Chapter 3. That day, Fernando fled the dinner party with his face covered in soup. The whole evening, Sean kept texting me like crazy. Bro, this show can't go to waste. I'll treat you to a meal next time. Oh my god, your wife sure is ruthless. That soup was just served and still steaming. Is this pretty boy part of your and your wife's little game? This is going to spread tomorrow. If I were him, I'd probably be thinking of ending it all. Bro, can you teach me your ways of handling a wife? I casually replied, it's simple. If you don't care about her, you'll naturally have control over her. Sean's enthusiasm dropped noticeably. Never mind. I can't do that. Of course he can't. He and his wife have been childhood sweethearts, and they've been inseparable since middle school. After all these years, they still call each other dear baby in front of others, which drives everyone around them crazy. By the way, your wife looked really upset the whole night. She's not going to start a fight when she gets back, right? Fight? Do you think she'd dare? Sean sent a badass and went silent. Half an hour later, Elena stormed back in. She rushed into the bedroom, ripped the blanket off me, her eyes burning with fury. Where are my things? I propped my head on my arm, staring at her without saying a word. Alexia, where are my things? I kept staring at her, still silent. After a minute of tense silence, she gave in and collapsed onto the bed. I did what you asked. I've humiliated myself enough tonight. It's a miracle he didn't call the cops on me. What more do you want from me? Did I make you lose face? Don't you think you should explain yourself to me? An awkward silence followed, and Elena finally spoke up. He's just a college grad. There's really nothing between us. What do I need to say for you to believe me? Elena, it's not about what you say. It's about what you do. 1 million isn't a lot of money to you, but to an average family, they might never earn that in a lifetime. I don't believe you don't understand that. You casually gave a $1 million watch to another man today. What makes you think I wouldn't care? I just saw him beating himself up for messing up at work, so I comforted him by giving him the watch. I have no feelings for him. Really? You casually gave away money that could be a lifetime's earnings for an ordinary family. Do you know what kind of thoughts that could trigger in him? Do you really not see the impact of that 1 million on a man just starting out in life? If not for your indulgence, would he have posted that message? Didn't he know I'd see it? You took him to the dinner and had him replace me. What would others think? What do you want me to think? Did you consider any of this? He took a selfie at the dinner and you didn't stop him. You even willingly became his background. Did you think about how I'd feel about losing face at the dinner? When your previous secretary made a mistake, you fired them immediately. Why didn't you fire him? It's your indulgence that gave him the courage to provoke me. It's your favoritism that made him think he had a chance. Step by step, I revealed the ugly truth in her heart. I looked at the secretary's resume. He has no qualifications to be your secretary. The reason you made him your secretary is because he looks like your first love, the one who saved your life. Elena, you're nostalgic. You're trying to find your emotional anchor in a substitute. You want to relive the time you spent with your late first love, don't you? Elena fell silent. Her whole demeanor seemed to deflate. Elena, look at me. She looked up, meeting my gaze. Our eyes locked. I cupped her face, pressing a heavy kiss on her lips. I love you. Now tell me. Do you love me? Her voice choked. I do. I took out the yellowed envelope from the drawer. I didn't have a chance to be part of your past, but I don't want to miss your future. I gently placed the envelope in her hand. I love you, so I won't touch your most cherished past, but please, don't make me hate you. Okay. Elena's face began to redden slowly. She flipped over and pinned me down on the bed, biting my lips like a she-wolf. Elena clung tightly to my neck. I promise. There will never be a next time. Chapter 4. Fernando became a joke at the company. Normally, all external receptions and business negotiations were scheduled by the assistant department. Whoever's turn it was would accompany Elena to various events and assist her. But ever since Fernando was promoted by Elena to be her secretary, that scheduling system disappeared, and Fernando monopolized the position. The next day, Fernando skipped work, and when the chief assistant presented his absenteeism report to Elena, she signed it without hesitation. This made everyone in the company realize that the pretty boy's days of enjoying himself were over. People in the company are sharp, and reading the room is a basic skill. Fernando was transferred from the assistant department and assigned to the reception desk to do menial tasks. When Elena was in the office, he wasn't even allowed to appear at the front desk. Along with his demotion came his reduced salary. The dramatic drop in income and status made everyone in the company start speculating about the reason behind it. Business banquets were always attended by my legitimate husband, but now this new secretary was replacing my husband to accompany Elena to the banquets. Rumors had already spread like wildfire. Everyone knew that my husband was vengeful, but no one expected me to go this far, not even leaving a shred of dignity for the pretty boy. I had forced the CEO to pour a bowl of soup on his head in front of everyone. Before this incident, there were even speculations in the company that the pretty boy might become the next CEO's pillow partner. But once this event happened, all those rumors disappeared like smoke. Now, the only voice in the company was that anyone who coveted the position of the boss's pillow partner would have a miserable end. Fernando became the laughingstock of the entire company. Some employees even discussed that bowl of soup he got poured over his head right in front of him. I've always been one to hold a grudge. Since you covet something that belongs to me, you'll have to bear the consequences of that desire. So, under my instruction, the chief assistant submitted Fernando's termination request to the HR department. The HR manager didn't dare say a word, immediately signing the document and quickly issuing the termination report, telling Fernando to get lost. But I underestimated Fernando's influence. I didn't expect Elena to actually talk to him about her first love, a story she hadn't even shared with me. The next day, when Fernando came to the office to collect his things, he specifically wore tight-fitting pants and colorful fruit-patterned shoes, looking so cheerful that it was nauseating. When he bumped into Elena in the elevator while carrying his box, before Elena could say anything, his broken gaze completely shattered Elena's most fragile defenses. In the office, Fernando stood silently behind Elena, grinning smugly as the chief assistant braced himself for Elena's fury. I pay your salary, and you use the power I gave you to go after my people. Are you out of your mind? The chief assistant remained calm. President Lin, who exactly are you referring to as your people? Elena realized she misspoke and didn't want to dwell on it. You're fired. Don't come to work tomorrow. Pack up your things and leave now. Fernando will replace you. That evening, Elena exploded at me for the first time. How dare you fire him? Just because of some boring jealousy? What are you afraid of? Are you jealous because he's younger than you? Don't think just because you're my husband you can do whatever you want in my company. This kind of intentional targeting is crossing my line. She grabbed a nearby vase and smashed it at my feet, then turned and walked out. Alexia, you really disappoint me. The door slammed shut with a loud bang, signaling her anger. I stared at her leaving with a blank expression, smiling as I picked up a sharp shard of the vase from the floor. With the shard in my hand, I slashed a deep cut across my arm. Blood formed a thin line, gathering at the tip of my finger and dripping to the floor, creating a beautiful stain. Elena, since you've turned on me, I won't hold back anymore. Chapter 5. At the Lin family's old house, I had a face full of bruises and my arm wrapped in thick bandages. Father Lin paced back and forth in the living room, his frustration almost palpable, brewing a massive storm. Mother Lin sat beside me, looking at my bandaged arm with sympathy. Her eyes were filled with resentment, having reached their peak an hour ago. After getting my wound bandaged at the hospital, I drove straight to Elena Lin's parents' house. I wasted no time and directly told my in-laws that their wonderful daughter had turned against me for a secretary who resembled her first love. Not only did she publicly defend that secretary at the company, but she also brought him to a dinner to humiliate me. Just because I fired that secretary, she went so far as to cut my arm and verbally lash out at me. As I spoke, my eyes were full of disappointment, my expression helpless and heartbroken. This emotion only intensified the anger of my in-laws towards their daughter. Father-in-law immediately called Elena. I don't care where you're hiding under some idiot's pants right now. Get your ass back here right now. If you're not in front of me in half an hour, you're never coming back. Understand? Mother-in-law looked at my hand with heartache, her eyes red, as though afraid I might run off at any moment. She kept soothing me, repeatedly assuring me that Elena would have to apologize today, and that I wouldn't suffer even a little bit of injustice. I nodded calmly, remaining silent. In my mind, however, I was planning how to make this situation even bigger. I wasn't going to foolishly compete with some nobody who had no foundation to stand on, especially when I had so many advantages. A smart businessman knows how to use the resources at his disposal to win. I'm Elena's husband, protected by the law, with the full support of my in-laws, 2 inseparable cooperative projects between our families, and the economic power to crush a pretty boy. Why would I throw away all these advantages to compete with him over who's younger or who resembles Elena's dead first love? The key is, my father is a force to be reckoned with. If you go against him, he won't stop until he's crushed you. Today, I only want Elena to admit defeat. I don't want to become a widower so soon. So I firmly rejected my father's request to intervene. The purpose of a nuclear weapon is deterrence. This kind of conventional war doesn't need you to step in. If I lose tonight, that means there's nothing left in the Lin family that's worth my staying for. At that point, you can step in however you want. I won't stop you. So, my father, sharpening his claws, stepped back into the shadows, becoming a tiger waiting for the signal. Half an hour later, the door to the villa opened, and a frosty-faced Elena walked in. Seeing her, I couldn't help but let a smile slip across my face, almost laughing out loud. This foolish woman, Elena, actually brought Fernando with her. Chapter 6. As soon as Elena entered the house, she immediately sensed the heavy atmosphere, and the coldness on her face faded a little. Dad, I'm in a meeting. What's so urgent that you had to call me back now? Father-in-law snorted coldly. What meeting are you in at this hour? Don't you have time to meet during the day? Why does it have to be at night? Tell me who you're having a meeting with. I'll verify it. Elena fell silent. She didn't expect her offhand excuse to provoke such a response from her father. She hadn't been in a meeting at all. She had just been having dinner with Fernando. His post had exposed their plans completely, and I had already shown it to my in-laws, the post of the 2 of them dining together. In front of everyone, father-in-law showed no mercy to his daughter. Say something. Why are you suddenly mute? Where's that spirit when you were yelling at your husband? I hit him. Elena's confused gaze landed on me, and she finally noticed the thick bandage on my arm. The moment her eyes landed on it, a cloud of anger overtook her face. Alexia, when did I hit you? You're quite the actress. You're even performing in front of my parents now. I wore a dim expression and nodded repeatedly at her words. Yes, you didn't hit me. I did this to myself. As soon as I said this, father-in-law slapped Elena across the face. You bastard. Alexia is hurt like this, and you still expect us to believe she hurt herself to frame you. The slap landed hard, and Elena's nose began to bleed instantly. Fernando was startled and quickly pulled out a tissue to help Elena wipe the blood. I saw mother-in-law's hand tightly grip her own fist. I knew that the ambiguous action had irritated her. Elena, what are you doing? If you have no shame, can't the Lin family still have some dignity? Upon hearing mother-in-law's scolding, Fernando froze for a moment, then realized it wasn't the time for showing affection. He quickly retreated to the side, acting obedient. Elena's face darkened with anger. Alexia, are you done yet? Smack. Father-in-law slapped her again, this time making both of her nostrils bleed. Shut your mouth. You did such shameless things, and now you still want to argue with your husband. How did I end up with such a heartless daughter like you? Mother-in-law turned to Fernando, standing behind Elena. What are you doing bringing him here? Are you trying to make room for Alexia? Or are you trying to tell me and your dad that you plan on replacing your husband with another man? Fernando looked innocent and waved his hands repeatedly. No, I'm just President Lin's secretary. Uncle, aunt, please don't misunderstand. Ignoring the blood pouring from her nose, Elena stood protectively in front of Fernando. What are you talking about? There's nothing between us. He's just my secretary. I haven't cheated. Mother-in-law grabbed the ashtray from the table and threw it at them. You had a candlelight dinner together, and you think we're blind or stupid? The ashtray missed, but Fernando, standing behind Elena, let out a pained cry. Mother-in-law sneered. Oh, the pretty boy isn't bad at all, didn't even get hit and still knows how to act hurt. Afraid no woman would care about you. Huh? Fernando's face turned pale as he realized he had overdone his performance. He quickly shrank back, trying to avoid further attention. Dad, Mom, I swear, Fernando and I are just in a professional relationship. I can guarantee I haven't cheated. We're innocent. Don't listen to Alexia's nonsense. She grabbed Fernando's hand. You don't believe your own daughter's words. You'd rather believe an outsider. Since you insist on thinking this way, I can't help you. With that, she grabbed Fernando's hand and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. As my father-in-law continued to rage, I stood up and started to leave as well. Dad, Mom, since Elena has said this, I don't think there's any point in staying with her anymore. There's nothing more to say. I'll just go ahead and divorce her. Chapter 7. The next morning, when the chief assistant walked into the company, he happened to run into Fernando, who looked full of energy and high spirits. Upon seeing his former boss, Fernando raised an arrogant eyebrow. Hey, You've been fired. What are you doing back at the company? You offended President Lin. She won't give you a chance to return. As soon as he finished speaking, Fernando's expression changed, and he quickly stood at attention. Good morning, sir. I stood in front of him, looking down from above. He is now my full authorized representative, the executive vice president of Mu Group. It's not your place, a mere secretary, to act all sarcastic here. Tell Elena to come to the meeting room in 15 minutes. Fernando's tone turned defiant. Sir, President Lin has a meeting soon, and I'm afraid she won't have time to meet with you. Really? Then tell her, I'm here to talk about divorce. If she's not here in 15 minutes, I'll burn down her office. In front of everyone in the company, I patted Fernando on the shoulder. Good luck. I'm handing my position over to you in the future. As for whether you can get into the CEO's bed, that depends on your abilities. 10 minutes later, when Elena walked into the meeting room with a cold face, I had already ordered the HR department to fire 2 employees who had publicly flattered Fernando. I wanted everyone to know that the chief assistant who offends Elena can have a better career at Mu Group, but anyone who offends me, Alexia, will only be shown the door. Alexia, causing a scene in the company in broad daylight. What exactly do you want? I didn't respond. The chief assistant placed a divorce agreement in front of Elena. President Lin, you can take a look at the terms above and just sign at the bottom. Elena looked at the divorce agreement before her, a flash of anger passing through her eyes. Alexia, what exactly are you trying to do? I pointed to the document in front of her. Divorce. Can't you read? I've clearly outlined the division of assets. And as for the company, our divorce won't affect the cooperation between our families. However, I will take an extra 5% of the year-end bonus. After all, the child is going to live with me. I can't let my son stay with a mother who likes to jump from one relationship to another, or else he'll be embarrassed when it gets out. Is it because of Fernando that you want to divorce me? Why should the son stay with you? He's the flesh off my body. I waved my hand dismissively. All right. The child has been living with the grandparents and a nanny since birth. How many days have you actually spent with him? Elena, I already told you clearly last time. That was the first and last time. Since you care so much about your pretty boy, I'll make it easy for you. Smack. Elena slammed her hand on the table. Alexia, I've told you many times already. I haven't cheated. What do I have to do for you to believe me? I nodded. I believe you. I know you haven't done anything to wrong me, at least not yet. Then why do you still want a divorce? I looked directly into her eyes. Because I think you're dirty. You use a $1 million watch to flatter your secretary. You let him replace me at the banquet. You have a candlelight dinner with him. And you even bring him to the family home. Every post he makes. You see, everyone's been reminding me. And recently more than one person has told me you're getting too close to him. Yet you ignore it. Elena, I'm not an idiot. Isn't what you're doing subtly telling me to make room for him? If I were going out with another woman, brought her home, had dinner with her at a romantic restaurant, and then took her to meet my parents, while telling you that there was nothing between us and we were just friends, what would you think? I pointed at the divorce agreement in front of her. Just sign it. I need to take the child to the hospital this afternoon. I don't have time to waste with you here. Elena froze, her gaze fixed on me. What's wrong with our son? What? You don't know. It took Elena a moment to remember that I had called her the other day to say our son had a fever, but she had been too busy to respond, and she had forgotten about it afterward. You don't need to worry about him anymore, I said coldly. Elena's face flashed with confusion. What are you talking about? My son. I said it. If we divorce, the child stays with me. I interrupted her. This is my son from the Mu family. You'd better stay out of it. He has nothing to do with you. He's my son. And since you don't care about him, there's no reason for him to recognize you as his mother. Alexia, what exactly do you mean? I gave her a sideways glance. The literal meaning. Elena, my son doesn't need a fickle mother, nor does he need a mother who's always flirting with her secretary. You haven't cheated yet, but you've accepted his provocations, his feelings for you, and all his little actions behind the scenes. Today, you're able to keep your boundaries, but who knows what'll happen in the future. I'm not willing to take that gamble. Elena, I don't dare to take that risk, and I don't want to. Instead of pulling out weeds when the vegetables are almost ripe, it's better to nip the problem in the bud. This child, I will raise alone. He will only be my son, and he has nothing to do with you. If you want a child, go have one with someone else. You're not menopausal yet. I've told you already. You're dirty. I don't want you anymore. Elena, let's divorce. Chapter 8. In the end, Elena still didn't sign the divorce agreement. As I walked out of the company's door, Fernando chased after me. Sir, please wait. He stood in front of me, neither servile nor overbearing. Can we talk for a moment? We can talk here. I'm busy and don't have time for your pointless chatter. There was a shadow in his eyes. Sir, I think you misunderstood. There's really nothing between me and President Lin. Stop. I interrupted him directly. If you're just going to say this useless nonsense, I don't want to hear it. Fernando, Everyone has their own intentions, but yours are all glaringly obvious. It's repulsive. You wear that damn watch every day, no matter what clothes you wear. Using it as an accessory, you just want to constantly remind the people around you that in Elena's eyes, you're special, better than everyone else. Your posts about your daily work with her are a way of showing off how close you are to her, and that you enjoy privileges others don't have. You know perfectly well that there are occasions where your presence isn't appropriate, but you still stubbornly stay. That's because you're testing how far her feelings for you have gone. If you didn't have these thoughts, you wouldn't be chatting so openly in the office break room with your so-called friends, talking about how to conquer a female boss. Fernando's face changed. How do you know all this? I sighed. Because I'm still her husband, and they're more than happy to tell me what they've heard, rather than keeping secrets for you. So what? Aren't you still going to divorce President Lin? Has she signed the divorce agreement yet? There was a flash of determination in Fernando's eyes. So what? She'll sign it sooner or later. Do you really think if I divorce her, you'll just take over? What can you do for her? Do you have the wealth to make a strong partnership with her? Do you have the connections to help her expand the market? Do you have a powerful background that can help her network? But I resemble her late first love. I can help her relive the good memories from the past. I couldn't help but laugh. So, you're just a substitute. You know very well you're a fake who she'll lose interest in eventually, right? If Elena can protect you, then let her protect you. I'm no saint. Not only do I hold grudges, but I also don't wait 10 years for revenge. Usually, I don't leave much time between payback. He looked at me warily. What do you want? If you dare to lay a hand on me, President Lin won't let you off. Don't worry, I'm just going to spread the word about your little secret. I'll make sure you're thoroughly disgraced in this industry. I'm sure your President Lin will feel the pressure soon and move you out of the assistant department, assigning you some idle role to keep you around. Or even worse, fire you without hesitation. After all, you said it yourself, you're just a fake. If you were really her first love, I might not stand a chance, but you're just a substitute for her to relive the past. How much do you think the weight of a counterfeit holds in her heart? Oh, and one more thing I forgot to tell you. I took out my phone and played a video for him. This is the dog you've been raising for years. You even had someone walk it for you, right? My driver accidentally hit it and killed it just now. You'll probably get the compensation for your dog from my driver soon. I'm sorry, but please accept my condolences. With that, I turned and left, leaving Fernando standing at the company door, alone, mourning his dog. Chapter 9. I never expected Sean to make such a big move. He actually dug up Fernando's scandals from high school. Back then, he was forced to drop out because he raped a female teacher. After being released, he started working as a beer runner in nightclubs. In the nightlife scene, he ran into a female university president, and by becoming her secret lover, he managed to obtain a university diploma. When his contract with the university president ended, he got entangled with the director of a talent market. This conveniently earned him a chance for an internal job interview, and with a face that resembled Elena's first love, he successfully got into the company, becoming Elena's secretary. With such a colorful resume, how could Sean possibly pass up the chance to vent on behalf of his buddy? In just 1 week, Sean and his wife spread Fernando's shady past like wildfire. Practically everyone knew that the Lin family's precious daughter had assaulted her own husband for the sake of a pretty boy and even forced her husband into divorce. Father Lin and Mother Lin couldn't sit still any longer, especially after learning that I had already filed for divorce. They dragged Elena back to the family estate and subjected her to harsh family discipline. The very next morning, as soon as Fernando arrived at the company, he received a termination notice from the HR department. Fernando refused to accept this reality and demanded to see Elena, but she directly ordered security to throw him out. On top of that, she even took back the $1 million wristwatch from his hand. That same evening, Father Lin and Mother Lin brought Elena to my family's house to apologize and beg for my forgiveness, only to be harshly scolded by my father. Now you know you're wrong and come to apologize. What were you doing earlier? She's your daughter. Don't tell me. As her parents, you couldn't control her, letting a worthless secretary trample all over my son. You really don't take the Mu family seriously, do you? If it had been her first love, the one who once saved her life, resurrected from the dead, maybe I could accept it. But you indulged a fake replacement strutting arrogantly before my son. Do you think our family is that easy to bully? I let my son support your company only because you had no male heir. Don't tell me you actually take my son as some live-in son-in-law. My son can send orders to your company, but he can just as easily pull them back. My grandson's surname is Mu, not Lin. He doesn't need your daughter desperately clinging on to be his mother. If my son wishes, he could give my grandson a new mother every single day. Father Lin and Mother Lin turned red as their secret calculations were exposed, but for the sake of their grandson and their company, they could only humble themselves and plead with me to forgive Elena one last time, to give the Lin family another chance. Unfortunately, when I gave her face before, she didn't want it. Now, I had no intention of giving her another chance. Elena pestered me for months, but when she saw I was determined, she finally agreed to the divorce and obediently signed the papers. On the day we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to collect the divorce certificate, Sean told me about Fernando's latest situation. He had latched onto another rich woman in a different city, but this woman wasn't discreet enough. Her husband found out, and Fernando got both his legs broken by the furious husband. After that, Fernando completely disappeared. You see, a proper ex should be as good as dead. Chapter 10. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed, and my son could already stand and walk, although he started speaking quite late. The words Dad, Grandpa, and Grandma were crystal clear. When Elena's parents heard their grandson clumsily say maternal grandma and maternal grandpa, they were so moved that tears streamed down their faces. Seeing them reap this joy, my father forcibly drove Father Lin and Mother Lin out. Father Lin, desperate for a grandson, flew into a rage on the spot. Once he got home, he gave Elena such a beating that she nearly ended up hospitalized. After that, Elena and her parents would come to my house every few days. Even after countless times of being turned away, they persisted without complaint. I didn't reject the request from the child's maternal grandparents to visit. After all, having more people care about my child wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Every time the little one called out maternal grandma and maternal grandpa in his childish voice, the old couple would scold Elena harshly. And every time the child called out Mom, Elena would break down on the spot, because I had told my son, she isn't your mother. Don't call her that. Elena begged me countless times to remarry her, insisting our son couldn't grow up without a mother. But I refused every single time. Don't worry, I said. In the future, I'll tell our son that his mother never cheated, she simply died. In relationships, forgiving someone once is essentially laying the foundation for endless hurts in the future. I'm not in the habit of placing my heart in someone else's hands. Just like I told her before, that was the first time, and also the last. Now, her belated apologies mean nothing to me.